is another video. Today is Thursday, the 4th of February, 15:29 afternoon, CET. What else? The banal thing first. I got my money. I paid the bills, all except one, and still I'm only left $90 for the entire next 30 days. So I have $3 a day to see how I cope, which is fascinating, but so be it. At the course today, unemployment course again, I found some time to just Google around a little. I did, for completeness sake, because I hadn't done it in easily a few days, send the MI6 and only them again a one-line statement pretty much that yet another day gone by with them not having got my ass out of Vienna and so on and so forth. I just mention it for completeness sake in case somebody's watching these videos unedited, unmessed with, and the MI6 got my message that I tried to send them. Whichever of those might not happen, so be it. I did realize at the course today that for those people who bothered looking at my redesigned Europe, if you go through the countries, you might have realized, well, the UK was split up, Germany was split up, France was sort of kind of split up, Italy was split up, and lo and behold, the only country to actually grow in size was not Thailand. That didn't grow in size, it manifested, that was a different thing. But the only country that actually grew in size, well, there's a few minor ones that grew, because Denmark grew a little and so on and so forth. But the only formerly big already that grew in size, and be it just a bit, was Hispania. Now, some people might interpret that as maybe me having some odd leaning towards or friendship or anything for Spain, when I show you that is not the case. Spain not split up, and moreover them getting bits and pieces along Basque Country in the north and along Catalonia in the south, or in the east basically, from France, is really, or was really decided to be designed that way in order to prevent the splitting up of Spain. That has as background geopolitical considerations when it comes to the defense of all of Europe, because as I've established in some of my documents, mankind liberated, Europe finally repaired. There might be some people in the world who might have at that point irrational issues with Europe, and for defense purposes I would rather appreciate such a big Spain there. That's the only background there is. However, see, it occurred to me, how did I get thinking of Spain? Because I was just, once again, as I mailed to the MI6, pondering that, you know, all of Albion had decided to want to be the prime enemy of mankind. And I remember, and a few months ago, I actually, on a bit of a sentimental trip down memory lane musically, I started looking at the UK charts from the very early 90s. There was magnificent manipulation going on back then. You had a few tracks, such as Rhythm as a Dancer, which were attacking tracks by people like me, and you had an onslaught that, for all practical purposes, Charles had placed there, or his aides. And you also had something very, very pathetic, namely the lately, I mean not then lately, but nowadays lately, breaker of hips and almost slayer of elephants, King of Spain, really tried hard to kiss fucking Bonnie Fuck's ass. Why exactly is a little beyond me, I don't get it, but he did that in the late 90s already. Now I do understand, that by now they have a new king in Spain, whose name, I must admit, I don't even remember, I'm sorry, and you can take it as a bit of a diplomatic statement from me, the Prime Minister of Thailand, that I couldn't even be asked to go look it up on Wikipedia. Ola Rey. Okay? Whatever the fuck you're called. I want to point something out about Spain. See, it occurred to me, the prime enemy of mankind, Albion, England, Scotland, Wales, might think that it's a little unfair if, when it comes to those recruited for mankind, they're being, there's constantly being recruited, all new numbers, and even existing numbers get ranks boosted by more joining them, and so on and so forth. So I figured, I want to be fair, so to speak. I will give the prime enemy of mankind, namely Albion, the chance to maybe get an ally, and that will be Spain. And this is how it works. As you might know, I happen to have a thing or two about wolves. In fact, as you should know, but probably never quite thought it through, mankind, way back, when Europe was not a nice place to be, not anywhere near as nice as the north of Africa, for instance, mankind's first friend was wolf. Nothing the fuck else. When mankind was hunters and gatherers, those who hunted with them were wolves. The wolf was man's first friend. Not the cat or something. That was man's first lazy companion. Yeah. But the wolf was man's first friend. What has that got to do with Spain? Well, as I have all manners of associations at the same time that I connect to things, I stumbled across a sword. Now, some of you might know, those who bothered reading the document on Fyland, that I do believe that a sword, and be it a modern one, mind you, is a pretty good thing. A saber typically is a pretty good thing. And in Spain they have a sword, to this day actually, that they use for ceremonial purposes, that originally, if I understand it, belonged to Ferdinand III, it says here on Wikipedia anyway, and is apparently kept at the Cathedral of Seville. Namely, one they call the wolf-slaying sword, La Espada Lobera. I'm not sure if I stressed the last word right. Lobera, as it's called. She's called, incidentally, the blade. Spanish has that as a feminine. Here's what Spain is to do, and I say this in particular with a bit of understanding of history, and I say this in particular to whatever thinks to have honor in Asturias and in Castile and Leon. Here's what you do. And the idea is, mind you, that I know I mentioned in the other video that I don't want to bring civil war anybody's way, but Spain being kept as big as it is, there is an outside chance that it might just shatter. Because I find it hard to believe that there are not such in Spain who would root with mankind and not against it. And considering whatever shit happened in Spain, considering, for instance, that little train thing you had about, what was that, 2 years ago or something? You know, the one that went too fast in that curve, and there were a lot of funny odd events prior to then, and maybe since then, I wouldn't know. I don't really pay attention much to what's going on in Spain. And I interpret that as an attack to some people who probably got into whatever degree of activity, not necessarily pro me, but against, you know, amongst the IGs of Fix Mundi, right? Here's basically what Spain is to do. I give Spain, I'm going to look this up to not get the date wrong, 7 weeks, which is very short notice. I would like to point this out. So today is the 4th of February. Which puts it at 24th of March. Spain has 7 short weeks till the 24th of March. I actually write this down. I know you can't see the screen, but I write this down on iCal. I'm just gonna write Spain deadline. There we are. Spain deadline. Deadline for what exactly? Deadline for Spain, be it that new king or anybody the fuck else, I don't give a rat's ass, to make up their mind on whether they want to be declared joining all of Albion as prime enemy of mankind, or signaling and letting the entire world know that they are with mankind. Namely, and here it's kind of interesting, unrecruited even, they are with mankind. Or not, as the case is. I do want to point out that I'm going to do me a wee bit of recruiting a little later on. I'll just write this down so that I don't forget it till the end of this video. What is Spain to do in those 7 weeks? And why is that a pretty tight schedule, really? The first, they have to do two things, actually, two things. The first is they have to destroy that wolf-slaying sword as a symbolism, because I see Spain is full of Catholic lurches, unfortunately, and they have crept into the nobility, let's call it that, unfortunately, and it's a really bad fuck mess in Spain. Nonetheless, what you have to do is destroy that grotesque, pathetic sword. Now, mind you, when I say destroy, I do not mean that you have to melt it or something. Just shatter the blade into at least 2, ideally 3 parts, so that in total it is 3 parts. Shatter the blade, keep the parts. I don't need the bloody parts. Maybe you can put them, once it's shattered, you can put a glass hull around it, or any other substance, and you can still use it for ceremonial purposes, but keep the shards like 1 inch or 2 apart, so that even from a few meters away, people can see, okay, that blade is shattered. I just want, as a symbol, first of all, as a symbol that you understand mankind's coming all this way, as a symbol that, and also especially as in those regions I mentioned, Asturias and a little south of it, you still have some wolves in the wild, which, for instance, in all of Freiland, we practically do not have. Now, if mankind survives, I guarantee and promise there will be wolves again in Freiland. And I mean the 4-legged ones. I don't mean wolves. I mean real wolves. But that's a little aside topic. But you up there still have wolves. Go to a zoo where maybe you have some wolves. Just behold these wolves and remember how, if it weren't for those creatures, mankind would have not come this way. And then remember that we are at a point where if there were a bazillion of those creatures in the world, they still could not help mankind at this point, because at this point, mankind is attempted to be driven into extinction and nothing short thereof by mankind itself, subsets thereof, inhumane filth of Fex Mundi, mind fuckers, and so on and so forth. Understand that while you watch the wolves. So, I want that sword shattered as a symbolism. Also as a symbolism that you say, Catholic as you might choose to remain. Again, I'm not forbidding people to be Catholic. Nor does Freiland do that. But I do want the nobility, whether that is the new king or anyone beneath him, I don't give a rat's ass. I want a public, worldwide, public display of Spain that says, no, we are not with stupid. I want you to shatter that blade and have some crap story for the news, how, it dropped to the floor and shattered, it was old material and blah, blah. Just make up shit. I know that physically it's pretty hard to shatter a sword by just dropping it, but come up with some shit story. You should be good at this point with coming up with shit stories for the media. Keep the parts, put it in glass or something, or just cover it in acrylic so that you can still hold it and do shit with it, not actually use it, but for ceremonial purposes you still have something that appears like a full blade even though it's clearly shattered, right? Keep that shit, do with it whatever you like, but destroy the blade. That's the first thing. Now that in itself does not take 7 fucking weeks, okay? But you gotta do something else. Namely, what you do is you have, and I understand your country prides itself in its history and mastery of sword making. I expect you to have an all-new sword made. An all new sword. Completely without any kind of fancy designs or anything. A very basic looking sword, but of the utmost quality. I don't mean the stupid movie prop gadget type for a few $100 or something. I mean something that really is as masterful as you can make it. Have a sword made like that, a lifelong sword made like that, and have that sword be called, let's get the sword a name. Tell your weaponsmiths and metallurgists to get a bit of a whitish effect for the thing. Have it seem very whitish, the metal and everything. And call it the White She-Wolf, or the White She-Wolf, something like that. Loba Alba. Use the word Alba, don't go for the B word. And I want you to get that sword done in 7 weeks, which is not a lot of time. Again, it needn't have any fancy design shit on it. Nothing. No encryptions, nothing. Encryptions? They are severely sitting on my vocabulary again. Kan man das bitte abstellen? Get that sword made within 7 weeks. And here's what you do with that sword. In 7 weeks from now, either somebody delivers that sword to me, or somebody uses that sword themselves in Spain. Which is basically, see, it's really a three-way choice. Either it's, no, we are with stupid, we root with the filth of mankind, we root with the prime enemy of mankind, and we still kiss, at this point, not even Charles's anymore, whoever the fuck Charles lost it all to, but their ass still, and we want to actively contribute getting mankind off of this planet. That is the one choice you have. The second choice is, you destroy that sword of Ferdinand III, symbolically. Again, you don't have to melt it down or anything, you can still keep it for whatever shit you do with it, but clearly and visibly and in the news mention how the blade got shattered and build a new blade, and either someone in Spain within the next 7 weeks is found out of nobility, be it your new king or be it somebody who the fuck takes that new sword and kindly tickles the new king with it. I don't give a rat's ass. Somebody in Spain make clear that he understands and now has a new sword. Okay? That's the second choice. And the third choice is, oh, we don't want to be either. It's so horrible. Everything is horrible. Oh, we're so useless. Oh, we're just Spaniards. What do you fucking expect of us? Then, okay, get the sword here. You understand? Either you have no backbone at all, or you have backbone by yourself and keep, what do we call it? Loba Bianca. No, not B, sorry. Alba. Or have it wind up with me at least, if nothing else. Now mind you, those are two criteria, both must be, I mean, in the first case of you joining Albion, obviously there's no need to destroy the sword of Ferdinand III. Now, in the other two cases, though, it must be both that wolf-slaying sword destroyed, and within 7 weeks, and get going on that, my dear Spaniards, because making a good sword in 7 weeks is very challenging. And you must make that new sword and have it done by then. And either have again on the news your new king or somebody the fuck else make it very clear to the world that you are Spain and you can stand on your own 2 feet when it comes to defending mankind, or you cannot stand on your own 2 feet and have the sword come to me, but at least you do not actively join the ranks of the prime enemy of mankind. Do you understand that? It's not that hard. You got 7 weeks for that, get the fuck going. Now, a few minor topics. So this topic is over. This is not a recruiting, mind you. No recruiting. I said I'm going to get to some recruiting, and I will. Hear me out on this first. But that topic is over now. A few short little non-questions, some of them. For instance, briefly, this started a few weeks back. I got all new spam from WhatsApp. I must admit, to my great shame, I have no idea what WhatsApp is. I read in the news the other day that like every 5th person on earth uses it. I don't even know what it is. I understand that you can find this on my Mac if you bother and if you arrive there. I got fake virus alerts on some audio messages being downloaded via WhatsApp or something when nothing the fuck downloaded or whatever. I don't know what these, in my email program, these occasional WhatsApp new message shit spam mails are all about or are for. I guess it's discrediting me. I don't use WhatsApp, whatever it is, and I have no way of accessing any audio messages or any such. And other than videos that I leave on YouTube and the mails that I send, I do not communicate with anybody. And when I talk about mails that I send, I would like to point out that I only ever I have 2 email accounts, namely one being first name, last name, at gmx.at, and the other one being Rabbit Omega Wolf at gmx.net. I don't use the latter. If you see emails being sent out from the latter, I assure you it's not by me. It is by people who forge such via GMX directly. I myself have actually lost and forgotten my password, how to actually log on to GMX at GMX's website. Okay? There. So WhatsApp is not a topic. I don't know where the fucking spam comes from. I got nothing to do with it. Another little question. Was the benign malign maybe just the word swap of your faces? No. That was not a case of word swap. I explained it exactly. It said in the video benign, and they changed the audio of the video to malign, and I simply quoted that line beneath and I wrote benign, and they messed with my comment and changed it to malign. That was not a word swap. Here's another little thing. I mentioned yesterday how I tried to get, quite a while back, the Russians into a bit of action. And originally I had intended to hand deliver a written letter, which is actually on my Mac, to the Russian embassy, which would have just been a cover letter for a mail that I tried to send them previous. Both can be found on my Mac. And it was just a printout of the cover letter and a printout of the mail stapled together in an envelope that I originally meant to deliver to the Russian embassy here in Vienna. However, just a day or 2 prior, I think I also mentioned that in the videos, or maybe back in those days in the, by the way, World document still, but I got extreme ridicule via a lady from my bank on the phone. The reason why I bring this up is not because it has anything to do with the Russians, just because it was a grotesque ridicule that I wanted to avoid at the embassy. So what I did with that letter in my hand was I drove with the subway with the Schnellbahn all the way to where their embassy is, got off the station, but didn't take that last corner to their actual embassy, but stopped instead. Right at that same block, right next to the embassy, is an Orthodox Russian church. And this was in the morning. This was like 7 in the morning or something when I was there. And they have a large black old school mailbox at their gate, at their fence's gate actually. And I deposited that in there, and it said clearly on the sealed envelope for the FSB, even in Cyrillic letters it said FSB. And my idea was that the bloody fucking Orthodox church clergy who gets his mail out of his mailbox would have the present mind to just walk the corner and hand it to the Russian embassy, right? So if the Russian embassy said, well, we never got no letter, that is possible because I didn't put it in the mailbox of the Russian embassy, but just around the corner into the mailbox of the Orthodox church that they have there. That is where I put it. And as far as non-questions go, this is the mother of all non-questions. Why are you not afraid? Don't you understand how terribly horrible everything is? And afraid of what exactly? Afraid of what exactly? Oh, that is because you have nothing to lose. That is because you're a poor man. We have to run international companies and we are important. You are not getting it right in your fucking brains. I have explained to you before that you don't matter. This is about mankind. You don't fucking matter. The fucking king of fucking Spain fucking doesn't matter. Once more, I kindly urge you to get this in your head. And to get into your head that there is nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, nothing to be afraid of. There. And when it comes to recruiting, I'm going to recruit the new number, not 15, but 1. The new number 1. And incidentally, I think you should have figured that by now. I have explained in my emails how hierarchy does not exist. Whether you are number 1 or whether you are number 17,833, hypothetically, doesn't make a fucking difference. That is the in-joke. In why, in The Prisoner, for example, a TV series, or in the I Am Main song, the man finds it so fucking funny that the prisoner says, I am not a number, I am a free man. Because that does not, well, actually that does contradict itself, that statement. If you are a free man, you are just a number. Okay? So this is not a hierarchy. Now, 0, mathematically also, is something quite different. Still not a hierarchy, but it is something different. 1 to what the fuck ever is one thing, and 0 is something very different. But nothing about this is a hierarchy. So just because they're number 1, it doesn't mean that they're above anybody else or something. But I'm recruit number 1, and I just call them blades. That's what I call them. And at start, 2 groups in them. Kind of like number 8 started with the United States Marine Corps, with the formerly Royal Marines, and with the French Foreign Legion. Number 1 starts with 2 things at first. Namely, as I mentioned, Spain. See, as, for instance, number 11 is a good example of, they are on Albion, for the most part. I mean, MI6 staff might be not exactly on Albion, but what the fuck ever else, but they are from Albion originally, and yeah, that does not contradict with all of Albion being declared prime enemy of mankind. And much in the same manner when it comes to Spain, already, this is independent of how whatever they choose to do in 7 weeks from now, but already, everybody in Spain who owns, namely him personally, and by owning I actually mean actual owning, you know, like I own a cigarette lighter, or have single, how do I put that? Have professional access to, and by professional access to I mean because it is your profession, namely to whatever type of sword, be it a saber, be it a sword proper, as in longsword, be it a rapier, be it what the fuck ever, blades. If you are owner or at least regular user or at least access haver in your profession to a sword and are from Spain, whatever your fucking job precisely, I understand that would probably be quite a lot of people in the military. There would be some nobility, there would be whatever kinds of people, okay? Swords, and I should be specific about that. Swords if need be, you could actually use. So I'm not talking about some crap fantasy sword from some fanboy. I'm not talking about some, even if it might be very valuable, a sword that simply and only solely serves ceremonial purposes. You know, a sword you could actually bloody use. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the 3,038 copies of, I don't know, you know, some movie replica sword or something like that. I understand there's a huge industry for such shit down there in Spain. That's not what I'm talking about. A real sword, a real saber, whatnot. If you're the owner of such, and in Spain, and from Spain, even if maybe you're not in Spain, you are being recruited into number one for mankind. And finally, I get to do my Japanese recruiting. The same is true for all such in and on Japan, or even if they're outside of Japan but originally from Japan. Anybody who owns a sword, and that need not necessarily be a Japanese sword, though I guess 99.999% of those will be katana, probably, or other types of Japanese swords, but Spain and Japan, everybody who owns a real sword of whichever type, you're being recruited into number one for mankind. And you take care of your sword because you might need it one day. Oh shit. And that is that. So Spain has till the 24th of March to make up their mind, destroy that horrible, pathetic wolf-slaying sword that you have there in the cathedral. Keep its shards in the cathedral, you know, still use it for whatever shit. But again, I want to explain the symbolism of this. The symbolism of this is that even if you're dyed-in-the-wool Catholics, you are not lurchers to the extent that you would contribute to RCC splinter cells or RCC whatever doing in mankind. Do you understand that? I hope you understand that. Also that you understand that the wolf symbolism is taking you all the way back, tens of thousands of years ago, 10,000 years ago, let's say. Well, no, actually it's further back than that. It is several tens of thousands of years ago, where the first friend mankind ever had was wolf. And you forge an all new sword, which either some of you, one person over there in Spain, keeps for himself and uses for himself as a symbol of this is Spain, or a part thereof, as I said. But here be people who know what a sword is, and here be people who can tell the difference between friends of mankind and the extreme opposite thereof. And tell your craftspeople to make that sword very white in appearance, and tell your craftspeople to keep it free of any kitschy Verzierung. They are so sitting on that word, I'm sorry. And have that sword be called Loba Alba. There. Unusual as the word Alba is in connection, because it's typically the B word, but hey. And that is that. Have a nice day.